Today, we are diving into the world of peat. Smoky, earthy, and let's be honest, sometimes a little intimidating.
Today we have 10 great peated whiskeys for beginners, plus a bonus. So for those who would like a little adventure, stick around.
All right, so here's the deal. We've carefully chosen some whiskeys that will show you the different ways that peat can enhance a whiskey without it overwhelming you.
And just to keep things interesting, we'll talk about why these whiskeys are great for beginners, what they taste like, and maybe throw in a few fun facts along the way. Are you ready?
No! I said, are you ready?
Let's kick this journey off with our first choice, Highland Park 12, which is often called the gateway to peat. So if you're new to smoky whiskeys, this is like getting an introduction from a really friendly guide.
Right, it is a very friendly guy. Very nice little man. Now, Highland Park 12 is a great example of how peat doesn't have to dominate the flavor.
Right.
So instead, it offers depth and enhances other elements of the whiskey. So it's a nice introduction.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a smoke in your face type of whiskey. It's more like a campfire in the distance, subtle, but it's definitely there. So the peat here is more floral, balanced with honey, citrus, and even a little bit of spice.
And is from Orkney. And that's where they use a different style of peat compared to some of the more traditional in Islay.
Right.
It's a little lighter, it's more heathered, and honestly, it's perfect for someone who's curious but not ready to fully commit to full-blown peat.
And interestingly, Highland Park's distillery malts their own barley using in-house traditional floor malting. And it's a process only a handful of distilleries use today.
Now, we're heading to one of my favorite whiskeys of all time. We're going to India
Oh,
with Amrut Fusion. If you didn't know that India makes whiskey, then you're in for a real treat because this is phenomenal.
I'm here to announce the best Indian whiskey. It's Amrut Fusion. Congratulations.
Amrut Fusion, congratulations to you.
so this one's unique because it's a blend of both Indian barley and Scottish peated barley. And that's really where the magic happens. So expect to get tropical fruit notes, think like mango, banana, and that's gonna be layered in with chocolate, spice, and just enough peat to remind you it's there.
Oh,
He's having a moment.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so complex. It's so nice. It goes down. You think you're gonna get a flavor, and then you get something completely different.
Yeah.
As it evolves in your mouth and your finish and
Yep.
the palate.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
It is a fantastic whiskey. Like, you really need to try Amrut Fusion if you haven't before, because it is just next level.
It is a great pick if you are looking to step outside your traditional Scotch, and if you want to explore something different from a different part of the world.
Right?
This is the one to try.
Yeah. And even in the name, fusion, spot on. It's literally a fusion of cultures, flavors, and techniques. And to try something off the beaten path, this one would be the one to do it.
And Amrut Fusion was actually one of the first Indian whiskeys to gain international recognition, even scoring an impressive 97 points from Jim Mary's Whiskey Bible.
Yeah. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it's not just me that has an incredible mouth orgasm when I have this drink.
Up next, and forgive me, Scotland, but I'm going to try to pronounce this, Benromach. And to be more specific, it's the Benromach 10.
That was very well done.
Thank you.
I love how you looked at me for approval,
Yeah.
as if I am the arbiter of saying things correctly. I only know about whiskey. I don't know how to pronounce words.
So this is a fantastic pick if you want something a little bit more traditional, but still approachable. It's actually a space side, but with a touch of peat, something you don't see too often.
Exactly. So you're gonna get creamy vanilla, dried fruits, some sherry sweetness that are all frequently associated with Scotch. But the peat adds this earthy, smoky layer that makes it really just stand out.
And that's what I love about this one. It feels old school. It's like the distiller said, let's do it the way it was done 50 years ago, and it works. Benromach is one of the few distilleries still using 100% traditional methods. And by that, I mean right down to distilling by sight, touch, and smell instead of relying on modern technology.
I know, I love that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
The peat here is subtle. It's more like a seasoning rather than the main course.
Right, that's a very, very good description. It's not a peat bomb by any stretch. It's just this little puff of smoke at the end of each sip. It's perfect.
Nice.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
Now we are jumping right to Ireland.
nice.
with Teeling Black Pits, which is one of my favorite Irish whiskeys and one that we're drinking right now.
That's right.
So this little dram of loveliness right over here is incredibly rare for an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
That is typically known for being light and being smooth, and this will definitely surprise you.
The peat here is earthy and slightly fruity, and it balances really nice with flavors. You're gonna get like grilled pineapple, smoked oak, vanilla. It's bold for an Irish whiskey, but still very drinkable.
And the fact that it uses triple distillation is what makes it so great for beginners.
Yeah.
Because you get all the flavor that you typically get from an Irish whiskey without the intensity of that peat.
Right.
That's gonna overwhelm you.
Yeah. Plus, the name Black Pits just sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
Like, what are you drinking? Oh, some Black Pits.
Well, I don't know if cool is the word for it.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, I hope there's not a hair in it.
That's gross. That's disgusting. Why would you even go there?
That's where I went.
Actually, Black Pits comes from an area in Dublin, Ireland. And that's where the Teeling distillery is.
Right.
Which was historically home to malted houses that dried the barley over peat fires.
Nice. So it's an area of Dublin.
Yes, it's not literally black-haired pits.
Oh, thank God.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And look at that bottle. That does look cool, huh?
That is a badass bottle. All right, coming back to Scotland, I get to pronounce another Scottish name here, the Benriach Smoky 12. I think I just stroked out there for a second.
I always just said Benriach.
Yeah, the Benriach. No, Benriach. There we go. I think I had it right that time. The emphasis is on the re. So this is where peat and complexity really come together. It's a whiskey with layers, and it's great if you want to see how peat can play nicely with other flavors.
Right. And this one is aged in 3 different types of casks. Bourbon, sherry, and Marsala wine.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
Which gives you a lot of depth. So you get some notes of dark chocolate, orange zest, and you get a light, smoky finish.
Yeah, it's a great example of how peat can interact with sweetness and fruitiness to create something really balanced and complex.
Yeah, it's a whiskey that feels sophisticated, but still easy to drink. So it's definitely one to have on your list.
Yeah, and Benriach is one of the few distilleries in Speyside that still produces both peated and unpeated whiskeys, making it incredibly versatile for whiskey lovers.
And now we have one of my other favorites that is more of an everyday drinker.
Yes.
That's more affordable. And that is Johnny Walker Black. And it's a classic for a reason. It's the blend that introduced a lot of people to peated Scotch, and it's a great starting point.
Yeah.
Still, to this day.
Absolutely. And you're going to get notes of soft smoke, a little bit of toffee, some dried fruit, and a touch of spice too. It's very smooth, very versatile, and a solid whiskey to have in your collection.
Right, and it's widely available too, which is a huge plus.
Yes.
Especially if you're just starting out. Maybe overall in your whiskey journey. So if you are starting out, then this one is an easy one to enjoy and sip on and get anywhere.
And this one's also a great one for cocktails if you want to experiment.
Johnny Walker Black is known for blending their whiskeys from all over Scotland. But if you are curious, the smoky character comes primarily from Cowl Isla and Lagavulin distilleries back in Islay.
Now, on to the next one, Bowmore 12, which is where we make our foray into Islay. It's the smoky, peaty heartland of Scotch, but we're going to keep it on the gentler side here.
Yeah, think of Bowmore 12 as the more friendlier face of Islay. It's got peat, but it's wrapped up in citrus and honey and even some sea salt.
Nice.
It's like someone poured a little ocean breeze in your little glass.
That sounds amazing, actually.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on vacation. So what I like about this one in particular is that the smoke doesn't dominate. It's like, picture yourself at a beach bonfire, but instead of being right up on the fire, roasting the marshmallows, you're kind of sitting back, watching everyone else do their thing while sipping the whiskey.
I love that description.
Yeah.
I'm very visual, and hearing you say that makes me it brings me to that space.
Yeah.
It just transports me,
Yeah.
and I love it.
And come back. We need to finish the video.
It's also great for anyone who's curious about Islay, but isn't quite ready for the heavy hitters, and understandably so, because some of them could really pack a punch.
Yeah.
But consider it an invitation to explore the region without overwhelming your taste buds.
Yeah, exactly. And Balmore is one of the oldest distilleries in Scotland, so you're kind of getting a piece of history here as well.
All right, so now we're heading to the United States with Westland Peated American Single Malt. And this one's an excellent example of how American distillers are putting their own spin on peated whiskeys.
Yeah, Westland is based out of Seattle, and you can almost taste the Pacific Northwest. What do I mean by that? There's this earthy, almost forest floor smokiness that's a little bit softer and more rounded than the Scottish style.
Yeah, and what sets this one apart is how it combines the smoke with the flavors of roasted coffee and cocoa and a little bit of nutmeg. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like sipping whiskey in a little hidden cabin on a nice rainy day, a little fire there beside you, and you're there probably knitting. Maybe you're knitting. You don't like to knit? Maybe you're knitting a little sweater for a loved one. So you see, I could also present these beautiful iterations of mental pictures,
I like it.
right?
I was going there in my head.
Yeah?
I was going there.
I just lost you in the knitting?
In the knitting, yeah. You
don't-
lost me.
You don't think you knit?
No.
I think you knit.
And I also think that the American single malt category in general is exciting. It's like a new frontier for whiskey lovers out there. And Westland is one of those leading the charge with innovative stuff like this.
For beginners, it's a fantastic way to experience peat without the intensity of Islay. It's approachable, but still has enough depth to keep things pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like this one a lot.
Yeah, it's a solid choice.
Yes.
All right, moving along. Talisker 10 is where things start to get a little bolder. This one's from the Isle of Skye, and it's got a character all its own.
And Talisker is often described as maritime, and you'll see why as soon as you taste it.
Yep.
You get that briny, salty feel. You get that ocean spray in your face. Except it's probably a little bit more enjoyable, like getting slapped in the face with wind and hair and water and salt.
Hair. How much hair do you get slapped with in the ocean?
There's some hairy fish out there. I don't know. The wind might blow a little hard, and someone's wig might fall off. Someone's weave. Who knows, man?
So for Talisker, what really stands out for me anyway is the combination of the peppery spice, the rich smoke, and a little bit of sweetness. Yep. It's definitely bold, but it's not trying to knock you over.
Talisker 10 is perfect for someone who is ready to step up for the lighter, fruitier, and peatier whiskeys, but isn't quite ready for, again, those heavyweights that punch hard. Oof.
Here we go.
Oof.
We're stepping to the big leagues.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Because this is a controversial one.
Yeah, we're gonna crank it up here.
We're cranking it up. So we're about to crank it up with Lafroig 10.
Wow.
And let's just say, if you've made it this far, which you should have, you are ready for the big leagues.
Yes.
So we're gonna give you a couple of more advanced ones from this point on.
Yeah.
And I think that Lafroig 10 is an excellent way to get yourself into the Islay Scotches once you're ready for that point of the heavy hitters.
So Lafroig 10 doesn't tiptoe around the peat at all. This is Islay in all its smoky, medicinal glory. You're gonna get seaweed, iodine, and campfire smoke all at once.
Yeah, but here's the thing. For all its boldness, there's a sweetness underneath. It's kind of like a caramelized sugar or toasted marshmallows
Right.
that it kind of balances it out. It's a whiskey that knows it's intense, but it's offering you a way to feel a little bit of comfort.
Oh, how nice of it.
It's so nice. Good old Lafroig.
Thank you, Lafroig.
Thank you for making me feel warm and comfortable.
It's almost like it's a rite of passage. If you could appreciate Lafroig 10, you've officially graduated from beginner to intermediate whiskey drinker.
Right, and the funny thing about Lafroig is how polarizing it is.
Yeah.
People either love it or hate it.
Yes.
But it's a whiskey that sparks conversation. And honestly, that's half the fun, so
It
I
is.
definitely recommend it. And if you're interested in pairing Lafroig with something really, really good that's going to really balance out the flavors, I highly, highly recommend pairing it with seafood or smoked salmon, anything that has to do with the sea. You'll be surprised at how incredible both taste when they're paired together.
That's a great point. And that's a great way to introduce yourself to some of these peatier scotches, is to mix them or to pair them with food.
I actually hosted a whiskey tasting at one point, and we opened up Lafroig, and people were shocked at how polarizing it was and how unconventional the flavors were.
Yeah.
Once we paired that with the smoked salmon, it was mind-blowing how many people really enjoyed the experience, even if they weren't even whiskey drinkers.
Now finally, we've got our bonus pick. Ardbeg Ugadile. Now, this one's not for the faint of heart. It's intense, it's complex, and unapologetically smoky.
Right. If Lafroig 10 is a bonfire, Ugadile is a full-on forest fire, but with dessert at the end.
Yes.
And that's my favorite part about the Ugadile.
Yeah.
You get rich peat smoke, but you also get dark chocolate, you get espresso, you get sherry notes. It's an incredibly tasty whiskey. It's like eating a roasted marshmallow.
So the sherry cask influence here is really what makes it stand out. It adds this layer of dried fruit and spice that balances the smoke perfectly. It's bold, but it's not chaotic. So everything works together perfectly in harmony. And if you're feeling adventurous, this is the perfect bottle to reward yourself after exploring the rest of this list. It's kind of like the final boss of peated whiskeys.
That's a great way of putting it. It really is. And it's delicious. It's not like you're just drinking something that is peaty for the sake of peatiness. The balance of these flavors makes it one of my favorite peated whiskeys. So there you have it. 11 peated whiskeys that prove that smoke doesn't have to be scary.
I mean, whether you're just starting on this journey or ready to take the plunge, there's something on this list for everyone. And remember, peat isn't just about bold flavors, it's about depth, complexity, and even a little bit of adventure.
Let us know in the comments which one you are excited to try, or if you've already fallen in love with another Islay or Peated Scotch or peated whiskey.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you in the comments below. And please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We want them here, and they want us there. Wherever that is. I don't know where there is.
It's anywhere you want it to be.
It could be a campfire, you could be knitting sweaters or whatever.
And until next time, guys, cheers.